All right, Charlie Vann here with the man of steel himself, Stephen Ocho Peterson. Welcome back to MMA Ramble. It's been a while. How have you been, man? How you feeling?
I've been well, man. Just healing up, getting healthy, and becoming a better athlete and fighter in general.
We'll just talk about that because I know, unfortunately, you had a miss, 2020 due to injuries, but you got a chance to recover. How's your body just right now leading up to this fight? And during that time off, did you get a lot of chance to sit back and just evaluate the 145-pound division?
Yeah, I mean, my body's never felt better, honestly. I've been doing this sport for 13 years and had my ups and downs, had injuries, and this particular injury had been bothering me for about 8 years before I finally got it fixed. So now going on about 9 years, but it was it was a problem, something that I could fight through, but it just it impaired my sleeping, my training. I didn't really notice it in the fights, but I mean, when I watch tape, I can tell like there's a reason why I wasn't able to, bring my hands right back to my face certain times, or just certain things I was doing. I'm like, oh yeah, that was hurting. I could see that it's not working right. So I had to eventually got it fixed, and after that big win, I decided I wanted to get that one more fight and then get it fixed, but it had just gotten so bad to that point where I couldn't push through anymore. It was locking up on me during training, and I just had to get it fixed. So I got that fixed, and it was originally supposed to be an orthoscopic procedure, 6 to 8 week recovery. They went in there and they saw the damage was much more extensive than they had anticipated. So they cut me open and did a whole ligament repair. And so that turned into more of a, 16-month layoff.
Now, just to let people know, was that the right or left elbow that you had issues?
It was the left elbow, but now there's no more issues with any of the elbows. So
that's good. Did you feel it after the Martine with the spinning back? Because was it the right or the left that you hit him with?
No, I hit him with my right, and I hit him with a lot of people call it a spinning back elbow. That was a spinning back fist. If I was taught to throw a proper spinning back fist, leading with the elbow and then extending the fist right at the end, so you get that nice effect. So that's how I throw my spinning back fist, and I landed with the fist, not the elbow. It was bothering me leading up to that fight, but like I said, in the fights, you kind of don't feel it. It's just something I could see on tape.
Did you feel it like right after, like immediately after, or did it take a little bit to just that pain to sink in?
No, yeah, it's something that's always been it's like a constant nagging, throbbing pain, and then when I was training for Alon Cruz, I wasn't able to extend my punches. It had locked up to the point where there was no extending my punches, and grappling was non-existent. It was just so bad. I was basically a one-arm fighter at that point. In the UFC, you can't go in there with one arm. I don't want to go in there, get embarrassed, and then tell people excuse. I'm not a man of excuses. If I would have went in there like that, I probably would have got my ass beat and then had to keep my mouth shut. So it's not something that I wanted to put myself in that position. I want to go in there and be the best version of myself and showcase my skills, because that's all that people see. They don't care about what goes on behind the scenes. There's been injuries where I could, fight through, and I fought through this elbow, but it was at the point where I was a one-arm fighter, and you're not going to do very well in the UFC with one arm.
Do you feel, at 30, a little bit of that is maturity too in yourself, just knowing your body more now and just being like, okay, like you had that tough grit for many of your 20s, you want to fight, you always like to be in action, but sometimes you just got to sit back like, hey, this is for best so I can have a longer career.
That, and I'm in the UFC now, where I was killing myself to be. It's not worth it if it's better to take time off and remain in the UFC and keep winning fights than to have 3 or 4 in a year and then, lose 2 of them and get cut. It's be in and out like that. Just like we were talking about the rest of the division. I've been watching the whole division, and over the pandemic and all that, they signed a lot of new fighters that are here and gone. Like Ray Rodriguez got signed in the time since I've fought, and he's out of the UFC. Such as Alon Cruz, he got signed in the time that I was that I haven't even fought, and he's no longer in the UFC. Spike Carlisle, same thing. He got signed, no longer in the UFC. All of this has happened in the amount of time that I've been sitting on the sidelines. So it shows how quickly you can be used up and chewed up and spit out in this sport. You really gotta you gotta take your steps wisely, especially once you're in the UFC, and you gotta make sure you go in there the best version of you, so you can showcase your skills and stay around.
Do you think part of that too could come with, 2019, that same year you last fought, UFC joined ESPN. Now there's extra eyeballs on you. You're part of one of the major sports networks in the world. Do you think that adds extra pressure for every fighter now? It's been now almost 2 years since you parted ESPN, but just that extra eyeballs that you got to show up, you got to have these, finishes, or at least dominant 3 to 5 round, performances.
Yeah, we're becoming a mainstream sport, and there's a million fighters out there trying to get in the UFC. So you definitely need to know how to stand out, and you got to win. You got to be winning. You got to be consistent. And if you're not, you better be in those fight of the night type wars. And say you're in 3 of those, you get 3 fight of the night decision losses, then you're still on the chopping block. It doesn't, they don't show any sympathy. You go in there and you win or you lose. It's an unforgiving sport, and yeah, you get hurt and you get cut. So that's not where I'm trying to go. I'm trying to go in there, smash people, and cash paychecks.
Well, talking about eyeballs, your next matchup, Chase Hooper, he's gotten some recognition from the Contender Series. Some looking at Ben Askren Jr. I mean, he's definitely have some eyeballs on him, but he's still fairly young, just turned 21 years old. How excited about this matchup? And do you see this as a big experience versus, he's got experience, for someone his age, but still young, still growing. Do you look at that as the experienced lion take on still the younger warrior? You're still young yourself, but you have a lot of experience in being 32.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a lot of eyes on him, and it is the experienced fighter versus the young cat coming up. But he's got that popularity and that push from the UFC. He's got a big following. I'm not sure why he came into the UFC with quite a following, just off the Contender Series. And I think with the younger generation and social media has a lot to do with it. They grew up with social media, and so they're already ahead in that. I was one of the ones that kind of abstained from social media and kind of waited until I had to get it almost. Like, I don't, you don't have to have it, but
yeah,
in this sport, it's definitely you're paid based off your followers pretty much. So, and I see the fact that, this kid, Chase Hooper, he's getting paid more money than me. And I'm like, I've been working my whole career, 13 going on 14 years to get where I'm at right here today. And this kid's been, he might have been training for 10 years, but he's only been fighting for 3 years. He's been given overnight what I've been working my whole career for. Like, he's been groomed, brought up the right way. I was thrown to the wolves early in my career. I had my first 3 pro fights in 3 months. I was trying to really make a statement. And sometimes fighting the tough fights isn't the best way to get noticed, which I've learned in the long run, that you go out there and you fight a bunch of nobodies with losing records. Nobody even notices or cares. If they notice, they don't care. All they care about is the record and if you're finishing guys. Mm-hmm. So you can finish a bunch of nobodies, go 6-0, and then now you're in the UFC making big paychecks. It's just something that I refused to do. I had too much pride when I was young. I said, no, I'm not going to pad my record. There's no way. I'm never fighting anybody with a losing record. And now I see the business side. Not that I would change anything and go that route, but I see the business meaning behind that. Why fight these tough fights for such little pay when you get to the UFC and you're fighting, just as tough, if not less tough opponents for so much more? Like, Chase Hooper, he's still getting what I'd say is, really good matchups for the kid up until now. He's gotten really good matchups to build him up in the UFC, and he's making more money than I do. So I feel like it's my time to get what I deserve. So I need to go in there, fuck this kid up, take what he has, take his following, take his pay, and move my way up the ranks.
Well, also just looking back, when you were 21 fighting Steve Garcia and Legacy, still an early growing time for MMA, and now that, like we were just talking about, that quick exposure. So if you're, you can almost look like at Chase as that new generation that's just growing in the sport. And now that spotlight's there. So instantly with YouTube and social media, where how strong it is, it just instantly gives that kind of recognition to where when you were starting at 21, you had to kind of have those battles at times too, because that was kind of the era. That was kind of the time. But now we're, all eyes are on the sport. It's everywhere.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. It's definitely exploded. And I've learned a lot growing up in the sport. And I think that experience is exactly what's gonna come into handy when I fight Chase Hooper.
Now, not to give it any away, game plan or that, or is there any particular fights you've been just kind of eyeing that where you see where he held strong and where, with your experience, you can kind of expose? And what did you think about the Alex Caceres fight? Because that to me looked like that learning curve, learning experience, for someone like him and his age.
Yeah, that fight was a major lesson for the kid. He just got pieced up and wasn't able to do a whole lot. Just watching his fights, I think the game plan's simple. Just go in there and walk him down and fuck him up. It's like on the stand-up side of things, I don't think he has a whole lot for me. He's tall, he's rangy, and he's awkward. But I think I'm too technically superior on the feet. I'm going to pick him apart. He's going to be sloppy, falling all over the place, trying to take me down. And when it hits the ground, I'm going to slash on the ground. People underestimate my ground skills because you haven't seen a lot of me on the canvas in the UFC. But before the UFC, that was my bread and butter, was on the canvas.
The Ryan Hollis fight had an arm 20.
Right, yeah. Ryan Hollis fight. I mean, even before that, Steve Garcia was a minute 16. Manny Vasquez choked him out in the 4th round. Quentin Kemp, 24-second armbar. I've countless first round submissions, and then Cody Williams, 2nd round submission. Like, people have a short memory in this sport, and I just need to go in there and remind them. And if this fight goes to the mat, then people are going to see how good I am on the ground.
And also, what's another aspect? Because every opponent's like a puzzle, What is the most intriguing thing? Do you look at his range? I mean, do you look at what you mentioned, that ground game? We saw his last fight in a very competitive, very close fight, but was able to pull off that, I believe that heel hook or knee bar. Is there something of the piece that you just have in your back of your mind? Like, I'm really looking to solve this.
Yeah, it's the leg lock game. I mean, if I end up there, I've never ended up there in a fight, but I've ended up there plenty of times in training and competition. And it's not something that I fear, but it's something that I want to show that I can handle it. And everybody's worried about this kid and going to the ground with him. It's like, I'm not worried. I think that's the puzzle where I need to go in there and solve and show my technical superiority.
Now, I should mention this is taking place UFC 263, huge summer card. So, I mean, just talk about that. I mean, you have the year off, but now you get to come back and fight, major card, an arena. There's, I believe, fans are going to be there. So, which, that's one thing we missed in 2020. And we're seeing that energy in Houston earlier this month. We saw it in April in Florida. So just talk about that, getting to come back and
Yeah, I couldn't imagine fighting with no crowd. I mean, on the Contender Series, it was eerie, but at least I had my friends and family. I had, each fighter got to invite 4 people, so there was a small crowd there, 50, 100 people, but still a crowd. In Vegas, there's no friends and family. You don't get that crowd. You don't get people cheering for you. It's really eerie. I couldn't imagine fighting like that. I thrive in chaos with the crowd chanting and the energy. I absorb that energy and I use it. So I'm excited to fight on this card. It's a big card, UFC 263, Adesanya versus Vettori, and then the Brandon Royale.
Brandon Marino and Figueroa.
Brandon Marino and and that's an incredible fight. The first time caught everybody off guard. It was incredible. I thought Brandon won that fight, but I think this one's going to go a little different. I think Figueroa is, he's a champ and he's going to make the proper adjustments. I think he might have been caught a little off guard, but and then we got Nate Diaz on the fight.
Yes, Leon Edwards.
Yeah, so there's 3 5-round fights on the card, even though one of them's not a title fight. Still an incredible fight card. It sucks that I can't be on the main card, but there's so many big names on this card. It's I got to get in where I fit in, and I got to prove why I feel I belong on the main card of the pay-per-view. I've been main card of, the FS1 card. I've been main card of ESPN Plus card. But I think the next step is the main card of a pay-per-view card. And I need to go out there at UFC 263, smash this kid, and prove why I belong on pay-per-view.
Well, and it's still going to be part of, even though prelim on ESPN and just the eyeballs right there. Now, this is kind of a first time since UFC 227 that we've had a main event and co-main event rematch. And for the title, last time was TJ Dillashaw, Cody Garbrandt, Mighty Mouse, and Henry Cejudo. So what do you think about this main event and co-main event? You've been in rematch before. Being a fighter that's going in a rematch, what's kind of going through your mind on either side, from the guy that won and the guy that lost? Like, what is going through your mind, you think, right now going into those rematch?
Yeah, if you're on the winning side, it's like, man, I've already figured this guy out, and I got his number. He might change something up, but I'm already in his head. I beat him. Being on the losing side, you got to think of it like, hey, I learned a lot in that first fight. It was a tough fight. I might have lost for whatever reason, but I learned these lessons, and I need to go in there in the rematch and use those lessons to my advantage and go out there and pull off this win.
And then something like a draw, like that's always interesting when anything is a draw, because, both fighters have an idea of what they did, and in their mind, they felt like they won. So in such a competitive, close fight between, Figueroa and Marino, like if you're in their mindset, like what are you probably thinking, like do anything different or keep the same?
If I'm Moreno, I'll go out there and try to fight that same fight. I thought he won the first one. They didn't want to give it to him because the champ or whatever. But if I'm Figueroa, I'm looking at that fight like, man, I dropped the ball. I'm lucky that they didn't, that I didn't lose my title, and I need to make some adjustments and come out with the win.
Well, it's going to be exciting. I'm super excited for both. Izzy and Vettori. Vettori has been on a tear. So has Izzy at middleweight. The Jan fight, that's 205, but at middleweight, he's been unstoppable. Marvin looks unstoppable. Do you have a prediction for that fight?
Yeah, I think Adesanya, he's going to Matador. He's going to Ole the Bull and probably catch him with that check hook, put him down. And I think he's just going to use his footwork and outclass him, really.
And then you mentioned Nate Diaz, Leon Edwards. Of course, this fight was supposed to happen about a week ago at UFC 262, but we're still going to get to see it, which is exciting. It's been a long layoff for Leon. It's been a long layoff for Nate Diaz. He hasn't fought since November 2019, but also another fighter that you want to see in front of crowd. How do you see this one going down? And does this inch them closer in that title picture? Or do you think they're going to still have to take a fight or two before they can get there?
So I really hope Diaz is able to pull it off, just piece him up, make him look bad. I'm not really a fan of what's his name, Leon Edwards, but He's kind of arrogant. I don't like how he immediately demanded a title fight. Even before that, I felt his arrogance. But after poking Bilal Muhammad in the eye, and then oh, no rematch. I want a title fight. Like, who the fuck are you? You don't deserve no title fight. You just won by an eye poke. You've been out of the octagon for over a year, and you win by an eye poke, and you think you deserve, or you don't even win the fight. It's no contest, and you think you deserve a title fight now? Like, get the fuck out of here. I think Diaz has the potential, but Leon Edwards is much more well-rounded. If he fights a really smart fight, I think he could take it. But if he shows his arrogance in the fight, then Diaz is going to capitalize and piece him up for it.
Well, I can't wait for this card. It's exciting. Can't wait to see you back in action. Before I let you go, during your downtime, you did get to be in a film project. So how was it returning to acting? Because I know you've done a little bit before. So what was it like to be on the big screen?
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's like a childhood dream come true. I just want to keep getting better at it, keep learning and taking all these opportunities. I'm a yes man. If I see an opportunity, I'm gonna jump on it. So you got any acting gigs for me? Y'all can hit me up, or race car gigs or whatever, man. I'm all about it. I'm all about having fun and extreme sports. So keep me in mind. Hit me up.
Do you like Formula One? Are you a Formula One fan at all?
I'm not watching it, but if I get to drive one of those cars, it'd be sick.
I know I've been watching that Netflix Formula One series. I think that's season 3 now. It's cool. It's intriguing. But going back to the acting, because we see so many fighters getting involved and have almost a new second career. Why do you think it draws fighters so quickly and they can just pick it up? Is it just that confidence coming from fighting?
Yeah, I think it's just the realness. We're able to play a character and really take it to heart. And for me, I mean, I'm more of an action movie type guy, and that's right up my alley. I mean, if they want me to be a bad guy, I could be a hell of a bad guy. If they want me to be a hero, I could be a hell of a hero. So it's just right up my alley. I just take it to heart and try to be in the moment. And I think that's the main thing where athletes are good at acting, is because we're really good about being present minded. And when you're acting, you just have to be in the moment. You have to play in the moment, and you can't be thinking line. You just have to let it flow, and you have to have fun with it, really.
Well, one final question in regards to action movie, because you just mentioned you love that genre. This may be a tough question, may be an easy question for you. All-time favorite action movie?
The Expendables.
First one.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty dope, man. Yeah, the first one.
Yeah, and Stallone doing his. Did you see the behind the scenes on that? The documentary behind it? Stallone.
I think I did. I think I had the DVD and watched all that shit. Yeah, that was super dope, man. Just seeing all all those action heroes all in one film. It was fucking badass.
Well, you got it. We see Julian Marquez calling out, or shouting out to Miley Cyrus and that. Yeah. Maybe shout out to Stallone, tag him, say, hey, if you need, he's still making action.
All you got to do is call out a celebrity, and then now you make the headlines. Like, boom, you figured it out. That's the recipe.
Hey, you need me in your next film? I'm here. Or Guy Ritchie.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, all right, Steven, thank you again, as always, for taking the time. Best of luck in your next fight. I know we're all excited to see the Man of Steel and back in action. And before I let you go, anything you want to say to your family, your friends, your fans out there?
Yeah, just thanks everybody for supporting me during this downtime. I can't wait to get back and get us doing the business and entertain y'all. If you would give me a follow on Instagram and Twitter at 8Ocho08. And I want to give a shout out to my sponsors, Physically Fit Nutrition. I'm messing with Kurt Angle. He just started this new line of protein snacks called Chicken Snacks. It's like a trail mix type snack, and they got all different kinds of flavors. They're absolutely amazing. Check them out at physicallyfit.com. That sweet barbecue one, I especially recommend. Check it out. My other sponsors, CWL.law. Limitless Sport Picks. Check them out on Instagram at Limitless Sport Picks if you're into betting at all. Chandler Cabinets for custom cabinets. Rami Raw for luxury meal preps, solid saunas, and dank vodka. Dank vodka made from terpenes, all natural vodka. It's fucking amazing. And check out Hutch's Barbecue, best barbecue in Texas. Thanks, guys.